Welcome again, grade 12 students. For your practical research tool, this video covers the main topic, learning from others and reviewing the literature. After writing your chapter 1, you are now getting ready to write your chapter 2. Chapter 2 as a main section of a research paper is entitled Review of Related Literature and Studies. First, let us define literature. What is literature? Literature is any oral or written record of man's significant experiences artistically conveyed in a prosaic manner such as essay, novel, journal, biography, and others. Literature may be direct, such as those in books, periodicals, or online materials, or indirect, such as those as inferences or reflections, expressions of man's best thoughts and feelings about the world. The concept review of related literature is the analysis of man's written and spoken knowledge of the world. This means that citing, assessing, and giving meaning to a person's ideas, works, or contributions and relating them to your own ideas or using them in your own work. What are the purposes of doing review-related literature and studies in doing a research or study? We have here the purposes of the review of related literature in your paper. Number one, to provide background knowledge about your research. This is like introducing your topic. What is your topic about? You provide readers ideas about your study. Number two, to relate your study to current condition or situation. Definitely, your chosen topic is related in one way or another to current situation. So you do that in writing the review of related literature. Number three, show the capacity of your research to introduce new knowledge. Your topic may have been studied for a number of times already, but as a researcher, you have to identify the gap you are filling in. This is the reason why you are conducting the research. What seems to be lacking to fully understand the topic, or you may research the topic because you have this objective to introduce or provide new information about the same topic. Number four, to expand, prove, or disprove findings of previous research studies. Again, anyone can do similar studies about a certain topic because replication may expand the existing knowledge about a certain topic, support or prove or disprove previous studies about that topic. Number five, to increase understanding of of underlying theories, principles, or concepts of your research. If a theory about your topic has been established, then your research may add something or increase understanding about that topic. Number six, to explain technical terms involved in your research. There are researches that when you look at the title, you get confused or you find words in the literature unfamiliar or too foreign. So the RRL or the review-related literature can provide explanations about terms in your research that are highly technical. Number seven, to highlight significance of your research. The RRL normally highlights or emphasizes the importance of doing the research about certain topics. Number eight, to provide repeating previous research studies. Replication is allowed, but duplication is not. You have to justify through your RRL that your study is indirect or rather different from previous studies, or if similar, your study may offer something important to contribute about a certain topic. Number nine, to recommend necessities for further studies on certain topics. The review you provide in your RRL may not be sufficient to give others room for, may not be, to give other researchers room for improvement. Now, how do you do how do you write your research or review of related literature and studies? There are simple rules for writing RRL. This these rules are from Pautasso in 2013. Number 1, clearly define your topic and audience. Before proceeding to RRL, you have done this in chapter 1. Okay? Number 2, search and research the literature which is about your topic. 3, you take down notes when reading. 4, you choose the type of research you wish to write because we have different types of review. You choose the most appropriate for your study. Number 5, you keep the review focused but make it broad or of broad interest. So it should not be so limited that it tackles only one. You can go beyond, but for as long as you don't um, stay away from your topic. Number 6, be critical and consistent. You are free to agree or disagree with what you read, but choose what to cite accordingly. 7, find a logical structure. Again, you can choose whatever type of review you think is most appropriate for your study. Number 8, make use of feedback. This has something to do with your advisor's remarks or your peers' remarks. Accept comments, suggestions, and corrections constructively. Number 9, include your own relevant research. You may want to add your own researches, especially if they have passed certain criteria. And number 10, be up to date in your review of related literature and studies. Let's now have the things you need when you are writing your review of related literature and studies. Number 1, you list down all important variables you need in your study and relationships among these variables. You focus on your variables and take note of relationships among your variables. Number 2, continue search for information related to your problem or to the problem being studied. You get as much information as you can. Number 3, check population you want to include in your study so as not to waste any time or energy. Be able to identify and focus on your target population. Number 4, know how to write citations where you can include the author, title, publisher, and date of publication, page number, information about the study, and the findings. This is most important when writing your RRL. All sources must be noted and included in your list of references. Number 5, review and synthesize those findings that will support or reject your hypothesis and research questions. After gathering information, learn to filter all the information. Number 6, use online computers for searching and retrieval of information. You can utilize the internet in securing materials and information. Number 7, synthesize the reviewed literature. Categorize them and cluster according to whether they were conducted locally or abroad. Usually the review is categorized as local or foreign. You can do that. But you are free to stick with the type of review you have chosen, which may not need categorizing the literature as foreign or local. It is up to you. What is important is you organize well all the information you have gathered and provide justification as to why conduct the research about that topic. We have several types of literature review. These are the following. Number 1, argumentative review. It examines selectively in order to support or refute an argument, deeply embedded assumption, or philosophical problem already established in the literature. In here, you subjectively discuss theories about or related to your topic. You explain, support, agree, or disagree about the information you gather. Number 2, second type is integrative review. This is a form of research review that reviews, critiques, and synthesizes representative literature in an integrative way that new frameworks and perspectives on the topic are to be generated. So you aim to come up here with new perspective about a topic. Number 3, Number 3, we have historical review. This is done to systematically examine past events to give an account of what has happened in the past. Number 4, we have methodological review. This focuses on how something came about, a method of analysis. You can tell and analyze occurrence of something. Number 5, systematic review. Systematic review aims to attain conclusion regarding the chosen topic. And lastly, theoretical review. This is done to examine the body of theory that has accumulated in regard to that issue, concept, theory, or phenomena. So in summary, what are the functions of doing a review of related literature and studies? Number 1, to provide justification of the study. 2, to identify gaps, problems, and needs of related studies. 3, to provide rationale of the study as well as the reasons of conducting the study. And number 4, to have basis that will be used to support findings of the study. Lastly, what should be the characteristics then of materials to be cited? So you should remember that, number 1, materials must be as recent as possible. 2, materials must be objective and unbiased as possible. The materials must be relevant to the study. And 4, coherence principle must be covered in writing literature. Coherence means that all the information you gathered and included in your RRL are systematically and logically connected. There is also consistency in all aspects. After knowing the purpose of doing review-related literature, let us have citation. What is citation? Citation is done to give credit to people's work when their work is to be used in a scholarly work such as research. There are several citation styles. These are the following. Number 1, the APA. The APA uses the author-based style. Number 2, the MLA. It is most often used in arts and humanities, and particularly in the US. The Harvard is similar to APA, but is more encouraged for use in humanities. Vancouver, that is usually used in medical and scientific papers, and Chicago and Turabian, which is similar to Harvard and APA, but is widely used in history and economics. Since APA is typically used in research writing in the Philippines, we will be focusing more on how it is done. But first, let us take note of the following methods of in-text citation. In-text citation may be, number 1, direct quotation. So in here, quotation marks and page numbers are included when lifting a material or a direct quotation from another work. Example is given here. For example, language involves attaching meaning to symbols. So that is a direct quotation. That was taken from Samovar, 1997 year of publication, and then the page number where you lifted it from. Number 2, we have indirect quotation or paraphrasing. So in here, there is no need to use quotation marks. We paraphrase, but we still cite the source, like in this example. Attaching meaning to symbols is considered to be the origin of written language. So you paraphrase. So in the first method or way, you took exactly verbatim the quotation. In here, you paraphrased, and then you cited the source, Samovar, 1997. And number 3, we have citation from a secondary source. So in this example, you will see 2 sources. The original source is Hall, and his work was published in 1977. The work of Hall was cited by Samovar in his work, which was published later, which was in year 1997. Here's some examples of referencing and in-text citation. If citing from a book with one author may be cited in the reference list as follows. So we have first the last name of the author followed by the initials of his name. In open and close parentheses, we indicate the year of publication. then title of the book, and lastly, the publisher. Notice periods between major details of the source. If there are two or more authors, same way of citing their names, but comma and the symbol "and" is used. For books with no author, just cite the name of the organization or association, as you can see in this example. When doing in-text citation, if at the end of text, use open and close parentheses. Cite the name of only the last name or names of the authors if there are two or more authors, followed by a comma and then the year of publication of their work. If within the text you cite the last name of the author and close in parentheses the year of publication. Why do we need to do citation or referencing? This is because of ethics. When writing, you should be ethical. Colin once said, ethical writing is clear, accurate, fair, and honest. I have here some basic ethical considerations in writing. Allow me to do quick reading. Guideline number 1, an ethical writer always acknowledges the contributions of others and the source of his or her ideas. 2, any verbatim text taken from another author must be enclosed in quotation marks. 3, we must always acknowledge every source that we use in our writing, whether we paraphrase it, summarize it, or enclose it in quotation. When we summarize, we condense in our own words a substantial amount of material into a short paragraph, or perhaps even into a sentence. 5, whether we are paraphrasing or summarizing, we must always identify the source of our information. 6, when paraphrasing or summarizing others' work, we must reproduce the exact meaning of the author's ideas or facts using our own words and sentence structures. 7, in order to make substantial modification to the original text that result in a proper paraphrase, the author must have a thorough understanding of the ideas and terminologies being used. 8, a responsible writer has ethical responsibilities and to readers and to the authors from she or he is borrowing to respect others' ideas and words, to credit those from whom we borrow, and whenever possible to use one's own words when paraphrasing. 9, when in doubt as to whether a concept or fact in common knowledge, provide a citation. 10, authors who submit a manuscript for publication containing data, reviews, conclusions, and others that have already been disseminated in some significant manner, such as publication as an article in another journal, presented at a conference, or posted in the internet, must clearly indicate to the editors the nature of the previous dissemination. 11, authors of complex studies should heed the advice previously put forth by Angel and Relman, 1989. 12, because some instances, plagiarism, self-plagiarism, and even some writing practices that might otherwise be unacceptable, that is, for example, extension, paraphrasing, or quoting of key elements of a book, can constitute copyright infringement. Authors are strongly encouraged to become familiar with basic elements of copyright law. 13, while there are some situations where text recycling unacceptable practice, it may not be so in other situations. 14, authors are strongly urged to double check their citations. 15, the references used in a paper should only be those that are directly related to its content. 16, authors should follow a simple rule: strive to obtain the actual published paper. 17, generally when describing others' work, do not rely on a secondary summary of that work. 18, if an author must rely on a secondary source, that is, for example, textbook, to describe the contents of a primary source, for example, an empirical journal article, he or she should consult writing manuals used in her discipline to follow the proper convention to do so. 19, when borrowing heavily from a source, authors should always craft the writing in a way that makes clear to readers which ideas that are their own and which are derived from the source being consulted. 20, when appropriate, authors have an ethical responsibility to report evidence that runs contrary to their point of view. 21, authors must have an ethical obligation to report all aspects of the study that may impact the independent replicability of the research. 22, researchers have an ethical responsibility to report the results of their studies according to their priori plans. 23, only those individuals who have made substantial contributions to a project merit authorship in a paper. 24, faculty-student collaboration should follow the same criteria to establish authorship. And number 25, academic or professional ghost authorship in the science is ethically unacceptable. So there you go. The following, after that, may I give you the following basic principles of ethical practice. Number 1, obtain informed consent from participants. Prior to collecting data, you must secure consent to participate from all people you will get information from for your research or study. Number 2, there should be no pressure on individuals to participate. There should be no force when trying to get information from your participants. Number 3, respect individual autonomy. Allow your participants to choose whether they will answer questions or choose to skip some items in your research instrument. Number 4, avoid causing harm. Make sure that your participants will not be in danger if they choose to participate in your study. Number 5, maintain anonymity and confidentiality. It should be clear to them that their identity or any personal information will not be exposed and that their responses to your instruments, for example, will not compromise their situation. And number 6, take particular care in research with vulnerable groups. This is giving utmost consideration when participants are minor, senior citizens, or those belonging to certain minority groups. Ethical writing will prevent a researcher from plagiarism charges. Plagiarism, as defined here by Roig 2002, appropriating an idea, an explanation, theory, or conclusion, a hypothesis, a metaphor, in whole or in part, or with superficial modifications without giving credit to its original author, or as defined by the Office of Science and Technology 1999, is plagiarism is an appropriation of another person's ideas, processes, results, or words without giving appropriate credit, including those obtained through confidential review or of others' research proposals and manuscripts. Never assume a work as if it is your own, when in fact you just took it from another person's or author's work. It is always safest to cite sources because even paraphrasing, as mentioned earlier, is never an excuse. Plagiarism is punishable by law. In protecting the intellectual property in the country, in the Philippines, we have the Republic Act number 8293, known as the Property Code of the Philippines, to emphasize that original intellectual creations in the literary and artistic domain are copyrightable, and that derivative works are also protective as new works, provided that they do not affect the existing copyright of the original works. So, with that, I hope you were enlightened about the importance of ethical writing, and those are all the things that you need to know about writing your review of related literature and studies. Thank you for watching. Until next time.